Hi there. Yes, we're live and recording now. Great stuff. So, I've just done a short video and it was on Google Hangouts, and it's really quite interesting because just the way that what happened was I was basically playing around on Google Hangouts. I might as well admit to it. I wasn't going to say this before, but I went ahead and by accident started to record a Google Hangout, and I was playing with a new groups business tool that I've noticed, and it allows you to schedule your Hangouts. So if you wanted to plan ahead, then what it would do is it would plan that by putting it in your Google Diary as well. So it's a nifty little tool, but in essence what we're talking about is the world of Google makes things easier if you buy into all of their services at once. I think what's really cool about uh, Google Hangouts is also that it it's quite a live medium. Now, the reason why I'm playing around with it is because places like Twitter are supposed to be quite content rich. However, the trends in the last few years have been on the increase where photographs get used and get seen more by people. So because of that, and because of things like Instagram and also Pinterest has risen from that as well. So it allows people to really engage in a slightly different and more unique way, but it's visual. And I think YouTube has always sat on its own, and it's been interesting in that YouTube's pre-recorded, so you're watching videos that have been made to be watched, or they've been recorded, but as raw as they might be, somebody had the choice whether to put that on there or not. And when it comes to Google Hangouts, there's a real clear difference for me in that although I'm choosing for that to be out there, it's a face-to-face human kind of interaction, so it's very live and raw and fresh. It's less constructed compared to the YouTube medium. So Google Hangouts is really quite interesting for me, and I can see how it's a great tool to use. And I guess the question would be the question is sort of why would you want to use it, and do you use it? Do you see any barriers or hang-ups, or is it just an interesting place to be? I think the reason why I'm playing on Google Hangouts is also because there's an interesting element of in terms of businesses and community groups and charities, all these different types of people being online. So as they're all online now. They're ready to speak to you now, and there's a real sense of that webinar, seminar kind of culture of people being able to be online now and meet all in one place without actually having to go out of the building. So I think it does have bonuses in that kind of way. It's an interesting little beast because once you start, you do actually. I was going to say you can't stop, and you can't. You can't stop thinking about it more than anything, because one of the other interesting elements is that I think this level of engagement and allowing people to develop their digital literacy is interesting, because when it comes to video things and photographs, people still do hold back on sharing their details or saying they'll like their picture taken. And I think although that's acceptable, that's okay, it's all to do with human rights and freedom and choice, the idea of people uh, not engaging fully on YouTube is probably down to the fact that people feel less comfortable in some ways. So I think it's interesting to question and find ways to understand. Once upon a time, people were not willing to write something about themselves now and share it with the world, because the world would know it's them. This is the same situation again, only it's YouTube, and we're really at the start. It's not necessarily YouTube, it's Google Hangouts, and we're still at the start. That all of these technologies have existed for quite some time, and I'm saying it as if YouTube and video is a new thing, and it's really not. But people still have not got to grips with actually using that, and I think we're dawning on a new age of users creating content for themselves and for small communities and publicizing themselves really in some ways. So I think there is something potentially growing and brewing in that area, but in order to develop further, people really need to do what they've done on Twitter and Facebook, which is go and experience it and then learn from that. And I think the areas where we'll see the difference is where Facebook has built up this engagement, it's increased in its engagement, but people aren't necessarily recording their faces. It's about them. But now we're asking them to, not asking, we're asking them if they'd like to come and join in and play, with the idea of recording and visually showing themselves to the world. And that takes some doing in terms of psychologically how they might do that, or the format in which how they might actually project themselves and put themselves over to someone else, and not knowing who's on the other side. I think people will do this more. I just feel that we're not too sure about where those boundaries are, what format does it come in, and as well for a lot of people that, in particular with social media now, a lot of people are taking on the jobs and roles of doing their job or having a career path in mind and having to develop that voice, the value or the brand or whatever it is, and do that on behalf of, but it's them, they're a human being, and they're having to substantiate somebody else's values and ideas because they're paid to do that job. Now, when it comes to video content, that same principle has got to be applied. And I think sometimes to be holding somebody accountable because they're in front of a camera is also another kind of element of professional development, awareness, digital literacy, and how far that might stem into getting into the workplace as well. So I think these kind of things are quite new in terms of understanding how people might engage and develop themselves and create themselves moldable into that, but also how people might develop themselves through that organizational job description kind of career progression kind of angle. There's so many different levels to consider, and I think the final thing I'd sort of mention is that I'm not talking, it sounds quite broad, the description of sort of who I'm talking about and who might be this aimed at, but it's actually aimed at everybody in terms of individuals wanting to get a job and get out there, and social media being a platform where recruiters look at to find out who's doing what. And it's not just recruiters, it's them recruiters actually having the job to be able to deliver social media themselves. Small community groups and hyper-local groups really making a benefit within their community, helping run a parents group or community centres, helping their area of their city or the entire city, and how they might translate their values and communicate with their beneficiaries, their clients, their user base, their community, and small businesses, social enterprises that are doing green, good, great things, and all these different types of businesses, right through to small, medium, large, and then government kind of businesses. There's lots of different types of businesses that would and could utilize video a lot better than what they do. And I think in part Google Hangouts and YouTube does have that. I think what might make this more interesting is if we can see another platform like Vine come out and help the cause in delivering a friendly, low data, really easy and super fast accessible video blogging platform, one that's not a few seconds long, I guess, and that would really help people to think, yes, I want to share my video myself, because right now there is no buzz other than the buzz of creating content and translating your ideas and values within a business means, not necessarily within a personal means even. So now that I've tried to describe to you sort of my thoughts on video and Google Hangouts and all of these trends, it's your time to give me some feedback. Why don't you tweet me at @TNToast or leave some comments below, whether you're watching this on Google+, YouTube, or whatever the social stream, and let me know why are you on or not on YouTube recording yourself or on Vine or on these other wonderful platforms? Are there barriers that you'd like to overcome, or do you just feel like you don't want to overcome any barrier? You just think it's not really a trend, which is fine. But please do let me know what your thoughts are, because it seems like it's an ever-growing area of social media and technology that people seem to love.